hello again. Um, while we're waiting for the rest of the people to join us, I'd like for you to, as usual, focus on your heart and think about love. Think about the infinite. And then set your intention on that. And we'll listen to some beautiful music and meditate. Take a breath. Today is the 4th of July. And so I feel, it would be appropriate to talk a little bit about the country I was born in this lifetime, America. I think if there was any one thing I would change about America, would be the national anthem. The current anthem we have is all about war. It's describing a battle. It's a pretty violent song. I would change it to America the Beautiful. Beautiful words. Oh, beautiful for spacious skies, for amber waves of grain, or purple mountain majesties above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee and crown thy good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. I just think if we sang that before every sporting event, before every parade, before everything, it would just change the vibration of the country. It would change us. What you focus on becomes your reality, your view of eternity, and that creates a reality for you. So the energy behind what you focus on really affects everything in your mind and your consciousness, and it sets the course for the way forward. We do that as a country, and we do that personally with each other, and we do that to ourselves. It always kind of a point of interest for me when I see people who live lives of desperation, who are so afraid, so judgmental about others. People who only concerned about themselves and their own little tribe, their acquaintances, their friends, and anyone that's not in their little circle of friends becomes an enemy or someone less than human. Personally, I find that to be a bit painful. But people do it all the time. So sad. Tragic, actually. Why is your life the way it is? How did it come to be this way? I was at Joshua Tree over 30 years ago with my teacher. And he asked those questions to us. He says, why you came in just bright with no preconceptions, no anything. You just came into this life just as consciousness. How did you end up the way you are? What happened? And people came up with different stories, genetics, past lives, society, events that happened to you during your life and formed your view of life. For instance, if you were raped, that would definitely color your view, especially of relationships, sexuality. Why did you end up this way after coming in so clean. And we all came up with these suggestions. And finally, he put his hand up and he says, "You're all right. All of you are correct in some ways, but you're missing the point." He said, "You're this way because you got dreamed by others. You caught the dreams of others and thought and created a reality out of those dreams." I used to be a religious science minister back 30, 40 years ago, a long time ago. And I was in a relationship with a woman who I felt was probably one of the brightest and most intelligent women I had ever known. She was incredibly bright. And I was teaching, change your thoughts, change your thinking, change your life. That's what Science of Mind was all about, positive thinking. And I am based upon the idea of unity, of just one force. So as we were doing dishes, she just matter of factly said, "I was 21 when I had my first thought." And I was waiting for the punchline because I thought it was a joke. I mean, I was teaching, change your thoughts, change your life. How can you mean you're 21 years old and you had your first thought? And I said, "You're joking." She says, "Nope." I was washing, she was drying. I stopped washing. And I looked at her and said, "What do you mean?" She put the dish towel down and looked at me and said, "Well, I was married and I was teaching yoga at Fort Bragg. My husband was an Army Ranger. And I was teaching yoga to, Army wives." And she says, 3/4 of the way through the class, I had my first thought. And wow, what do you mean? She let out a sigh and she said, "Well, I realized that every thought I had up to that point, I had borrowed from other people. I borrowed thoughts from my mother and my father and my teachers and my friends, and I incorporated them thinking they were my thoughts. I did a good job putting them together. But when I was teaching that class of yoga, I had my first thought. It wasn't borrowed." And then I remembered my teacher on Joshua Tree telling us, "You were dreamed by others." So the question is, who are you? Are you the dreams of others? Do other people's ideas and thoughts about you define you? Or instead, are you just taking their thoughts and their feelings, putting them together and saying, "Well, they think this about me, this must be who I am"? And if you think that, then you're creating this narrative that's impossible for you to live out fully, because they don't see the entirety of you. My teacher saw the entirety of me. He was not fooled by my configurations, by how I had put my life together, my self-importance, all of my ego. He saw that as just something that needed to be taken away, actually. He was right. He corrected me all the time. But it always wasn't just corrections. When I was doing something right, he let me know. He certainly did. I always kind of wanted everyone's recognition. That was my ego. I wanted people to recognize me, to say, "Oh, He's so wonderful. He's so amazing. And the more I wanted that, the opposite happened. I just became a jerk. On the surface of failure. But underneath, the work was going on. I started cutting through the thoughts and feelings of others. Liberation is being free of the thoughts and feelings of those who love you. They're not bad people. You don't need to get them out of your life, but you need to recognize their influence as being foreign and not necessarily applicable to you. Who are you? This is called self-discovery. How do you view the world? And how are you letting other individuals take their view of you and you say, well, that's who I am, I guess. Are you being dreamed by your parents? Are you being dreamed by your teachers and your friends and your acquaintances and your enemies? Everybody's telling you who you are. And you're so busy either becoming it or trying not to become it that you lose who you are. So on this day of independence, let's talk about that, because right now you're not free. You're still hung up in your angers and in your fears and in your need to be acknowledged and accepted. If you need the acknowledgement and the acceptance of others, then you become their slave, because you will never live to their expectations. And if you do, it will be disastrous. Almost choked on that one. It will. I mean, that's not who you are. Who was that being that stepped inside this little body before all of this happened? This eternal strand of luminosity that is individually you, uniquely you. Throughout all of eternity, it's been you. Other people have been there too, and you are not them. They are not you. We are all little nerves and vessels in the hand of God, in the hand of eternity. I can't be something I'm not. I can't be someone who I am not. But then I have to ask myself continually, well, then who am I? And why am I thinking that this is who I am? Where did these thoughts come from? Who is the father of my thinking? To be free is a struggle, but it's the only struggle worth having. And you have to defeat yourself. The war between the divine and the mundane, and the self-realization of the mundane into the divine, is fought on the battlefield of your soul, right here, right now. And it's a battle that spirit will win eventually. It may take lifetimes. It may only take a week. Who are you to set up how long it's going to take? In the twinkling of an eye. Or if your ego is really strong, completely overpowering, you can say, oh, it's going to take me 10,000 lifetimes. You set that up. How did you set that up? Thoughts and feelings of everyone you've ever known. No one's ever told you until this moment, probably, that You are enlightened. You're just asleep. How hard is it to awaken? It comes from within, and it's instantaneous, literally in the blinking of an eye. Why are you saying you can't do that? Where did those thoughts come from? You're not hearing it from me. You just bought a bill of goods that's corrupt and has kept you unhappy and sad your whole life. You've been struggling, chasing hungry ghosts. If I do this, I'll be happy. If I gain that, I'll be happy. If I marry this, I'll be happy. If I divorce this person, I'll be happy. All of these things. If I have children, I'll be happy. When my children graduate, I'll be happy. It just goes on and on. Hungry ghost. Never truly, eternally satisfying. Until you touch that central core, that part of you that is connected totally with the divine, the Father of all. And as you connect with the totality of the divine, you realize that, like the little nerves and blood vessels in my hand, we're all separate doing something, but we're all part of one. We're not, my blood vessel that I bruise in is not out here. It's in here with everyone else. We are literally the body of God. Awaken to your enlightenment. We're just here for a short time. I've mentioned many times lately that enlightenment is how you're expressing your life right now. I've encouraged everyone to be a saint, to do the right thing, to be kind to each other, to seek the beauty and the loveliness of life, and quit focusing on all the aggression and all of the horrible things that people are doing to each other. They're just having a nightmare of the day. They're observing a planet that is being run by the insane ape. Don't be an insane ape. Awaken. Be a saint. You're just here for a few decades. This world will come and go. Everything will, except enlightenment. And that's at the core of your single strand of luminosity that is your soul. That single strand of luminosity that stretches back to the very creation of time and space itself. You are 1 trillion years old. And that probably older than that. It goes beyond our comprehension. But not beyond our absorption. I, like you, we take that divine energy, that pure, unconditional love. We pull it down into our being and we express it through such limited filters. I cannot talk to you about this unless you understand the language I speak, and not everyone on this world speaks my language. And even those that speak my language, many of them not interested. It took me just a mere 70 years to discover that one size shoe doesn't fit every foot on the planet, particularly if you've got a strange size foot. And even if you find the people who wear the same size shoe, Very few of them want your style. So many styles. So the eternal, the unfettered, the vastness, incredible vastness of consciousness is being filtered out through what I am. You see a lot of people, they'll say they channel. Well, that's just their way of getting their ego out of the way so they can let some of that through, but they're still doing it limited. They're channeling it through another being or another part of what they perceive as a being. The pure transmission doesn't take names. It doesn't take words. The real transmission of the divine happens in a moment of what we call the Dharmakaya, the clear light of reality. It's given between the words. And if your heart isn't open, you miss it. It's the hidden teachings. It's the hidden teachings that's being broadcast throughout the world on this little YouTube channel. And as Christ said, hear, hear, let him who has ears to hear what the Spirit has to say. And the Spirit doesn't say words. So on this day of American independence, let's consider our position here and our view of this country. Do you view this country as being divided, almost on the verge of war within itself? Or do you see America the beautiful? Spacious skies, amber waves of grain, purple mountains, majesties above the fruited plain. America. Crown our good with brotherhood from sea to shining sea. Gain your freedom. Seek the highest and the best. Enlightenment. Forgive everyone who's done anything harmful to you. To hold any resentment would hold you back. Stand alone as the Dharmakaya floods your soul. Hang on to nothing, but float gently into the stream of love and divine light. Limitless. Vast. So vast. Not at all encumbered by my silly views of the world. Be free. Surrender to God. Hold on to nothing. And then walk in the Spirit the best you can. doing unto others what you would want done for you, forgiving everyone, helping everyone in need, cleaning up the world, working together, peace and love and harmony. That is the way. Namaste.